Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week.
We certainly are.
And we are lucky today. We have Scarlet Strapko with us, and we are going to talk about essential oils, so something very near and dear to my heart. She is a NAHA certified professional aromatherapist. She's able to work with people from 3 months old to 90 plus, supporting physical and emotional well-being through aromatherapy. Her greatest passion is helping women who juggle a million things, feel stressed out, and facing wellness challenges, who have lost their drive, need help to refocus, and want to have more energy, ready to take action and reset their emotional well-being and physical balance. So welcome, Scarlett. We're really happy that you can join us on the podcast
We are. Yes, we
Thank you so much for having me today, Kim and Barb. That's really so sweet, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. And so how did you get into essential oils?
So 11 years ago, one of my children was diagnosed with a very rare illness. And when the doctors told me there's really no medication specific for what she had, and there's really no cure for it, I was like, I gotta discover the holistic field and see what there is, what I could do to help her, even just help her with her energy levels, because she had like no energy at all. And a friend of mine introduced me to the doTERRA essential oils. So I started using them for her, but I was at the time, because of her illness, because it entirely changed her life. She was never able to go back to school. She was homeschooled thereafter. I was so stressed out. I was so stressed out and I couldn't sleep. And I started using the essential oils for myself. And just by seeing what they were doing for us as a family, I got so interested in them. I was like, I want to study this. So I studied to become a aromatherapist, and I became NAHA certified and started my website, myoilguide.com, just to share with other people what we can all do for our health, to support our health in many different ways, where essential oils can be really good tools. And it's not about curing or diagnosing. It's just really helping us live a healthier lifestyle. And I think that's just so important.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love, like, I was kind of introduced, well, my mom often throughout our lives would use essential oils here and there. And then when my yoga teacher actually was get into use essential oils and was into the doTERRA. And so kind of introduced me through that. And then I just became so interested and fascinated by things that you could create with this, oils and salves and all kinds of things, and take them internally or aromatically to help yourself and help others around you. So
and I think so much of it is really preventative, that we just start living healthier and are doing good things for ourselves, so that we're not getting sick, or we're not getting as sick, or we recover faster. I think there's just so many nuances on how these oils can help us. And I think it's a wonderful field and a wonderful tool for anybody to use.
Oh, I agree. And I think because our world seems so chaotic and so stressful at times, it's so nice to know that there is these tools that we can use that help with that. So can you talk a little bit about like different oils and stress and how we can?
So maybe starting out, maybe to talk about stress, because we always talk about stress, but stress in itself, there's actually two types of stress. There's healthy stress and unhealthy stress, because our stress response, our fight or flight response, is really something that can keep us safe. We become stronger and faster and react faster and we think faster and we make good decisions. And that's a really healthy response when the cortisol and adrenaline kicks in. But when that response becomes like constant, when we're in a constant elevated state of stress and our system gets constantly flooded, that's when we start developing a lot of different ailments, physical ailments, emotional effects, behavioral changes. And some of the essential oils that we can use for that have, for instance, calming effects, like to help us calm down, not feel so anxious or worried about something. So calming and grounding essential oils, some of my favorites really are like frankincense, sandalwood, cedarwood, vetiver, those are just really all very grounding oils. There is a blend called Balance, which I really, really love, which really helps us feel more balanced and grounded. And citrus oils naturally help us reduce stress levels. So just by breathing in citrus oils, if we diffuse like citrus oils throughout the day at home or in the car or when we're at work, if that's possible, citrus oils can help us feel less stressed and have a higher capacity to manage our stress and feel more energetic. And they actually tested that. You can imagine an ER is like in a crazy, stressful environment to work in. And they tested this in an ER at Vanderbilt Medical University Center. So they diffused citrus oils in the ER for 30 days. And they asked the doctors and the nurses before the test phase, gave them a questionnaire on how they were feeling, stress-wise and overwhelm and energy levels, and afterwards. And I have written down the numbers because I don't want to get it wrong. So yeah. So what happened was like that the stress levels were like 41% that they feel very, very stressed often, went down to 3%.
Wow.
From
Wow.
41% to 3%. Feeling overwhelmed went from 25% to 2%. And their capacity of how they felt like they were able to handle their stressors went from 13% to 58%. So they felt more capable of handling their stress. And their energy levels went from 33% to 77%.
Holy.
Just by breathing it in. And so I think that is just amazing. Because you put it in the diffuser, you don't even have to think about it. You let your diffuser run for 4, 6, 8 hours, whatever the runtime is of the diffuser. And you can just benefit like that from the essential oils. And I think that is just amazing for people to understand and to know.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like to, I've made up myself a spray because my husband has a hard time sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And have lavender and peppermint, and then I just like when I make the bed, I just kind of spray, and he doesn't know anything. Well, he might no, he doesn't. But right, he doesn't know, but he does. It helps that sleep. It helps to bring down that, right? And I think like sometimes even if I'm doing a meditation or something,
Yeah.
have that like I put it on my eye pillow, and then so you're breathing that in as you're doing your meditation or you're doing your shavasana and yoga, right? And
yeah,
such a great thing to just bring that stress
yeah,
level down.
Yeah.
exactly. And it's amazing how incredible they actually work when we breathe them in. And sometimes people don't understand like why and how is this actually working, And so if you're interested, I'll explain it a little bit to you.
Yes, please do.
So when you're breathing in an essential oil, it basically goes from your nostrils to your olfactory bulb and from there directly to the limbic system. And so our sense of smell is the only sense we have in the body that is not processed along the cerebral cortex. It goes direct. It goes direct from the nostrils to the brain. So it's very immediate. And in the brain, the sense of the essential oil, they stimulate neurotransmitter releases, hormonal releases. And have you ever smelled something and it brought back like an immediate memory?
Mhm.
Like you smell something and immediately you're just thinking about something. But when you're thinking of it, it's not just logically thinking about it, but it comes back with all the emotions attached to it.
Mhm.
So if it was something happy, you feel like really happy and joyful and like your whole body and your face, you're smiling. And if it was something that was negative, you might be getting anxious or worried or start sweating or your heart starts racing. So it comes back with all these physical responses. So when we think about essential oils, and especially when we combine them with like calming routines,
Right.
we are actually creating that memory. We're smelling this oil, we're feeling calm, we're having like a calming, grounding exercise. So the next time we smell this oil, it recalls that memory and it recalls it with all the physical sensations that are attached to it. So the more we practice actually grounding exercises and incorporate sense of like grounding essential oils into them, the greater the effect becomes and the quicker we can switch out of like a stress response into like a more relaxed state.
Mhm. Yeah. And I love that. And I love, like you mentioned, the citrus one as well, because I find like, you rub a little bit on your hands and then just smell it in. It like
Yeah,
instantly kind of elevates you and kind of makes you just a happy person, right? So I love that. And I love, like, I use them a lot on the bottoms of my feet, because I know
yeah,
that that's a great way to get them into your system. So I love that. I love putting them in the diffuser. So can you talk a little bit about like the ways that you can use them, like
yeah.
aromatically and ingesting them and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So aromatically, as you just mentioned, diffusing them in the diffuser in the palms of the hands is really, really good. You put like 1 to 2 drops into your palms, rub your hands together, create a little bit of heat, and then cup your hands 6 inches from your face and close your eyes and just breathe in the scents. So that's a beautiful aromatic way of, benefiting from the essential oils. And then, as you said, we can apply them to our skin. So we can apply them on the inside of our wrists. So the pulse points are really good points as well, inside of your wrists, and you rub your wrists together. The pulse points on your neck, over your heart area, under the sole of your foot. And under the sole of your foot, you mentioned that is because it goes so fast into your bloodstream. And actually within 30 seconds, it circulates through your entire system. So it gets transported very, very quickly. And then there are essential oils that can be taken internally. But I always say, like, big label, not disclaimer, but like, beware. You have to look at the essential oil bottle. It has to have a supplement facts box on it that says it is safe for internal use. Never use an essential oil internally that doesn't have that box on it. So that is very, very important. And one thing to know with essential oils is they're 50 to 70 times the potency of their herbal counterparts. So very, very, very potent. Like 1 drop of clove essential oil has the same ORAC value as 2 quarts of blueberries, 2 pounds of carrots. You know what I mean? Like, so very little goes a long way. So use them sparingly. Use 1 drop or 2 drops. You know what I mean? Don't douse yourself with like
Yes.
8
Well,
drops of essential
I
oils.
actually have a story about that, which is kind of funny. So my husband was sick and I said to him, how about I just diffuse this easy air with a little bit, whatever, peppermint, whatever. I'll make up a concoction and I'm going to diffuse it, and then it will help you breathe better. Well, I was generous with the oil.
Yeah.
Oh, then we couldn't even breathe because it was too much, right?
Yeah.
So just what you're saying is was more a longer way than, but it was quite funny because he's like, okay, now I can't breathe. Like,
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
trying to do it
Exactly.
magically. I'll put that and it'll be magic, it'll be gone.
yeah.
Yeah, like in a diffuser, let's say you have a diffuser in a larger room, like a living room, you can add 4 drops, maybe even up to 6 drops if you're trying to blend different essential oils. But if it is a smaller room, 2 drops, and especially like in the bedroom at night, if you don't want it to be too overwhelming of a scent,
Right.
might be enough. And if you have a car diffuser, just put like in 1 drop. A car is a very small space, and it can get very overwhelming for the olfactory system and the limbic system if you're like overpowering it with too much of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another
Good
thing is
lesson.
like smelling them from the essential oil bottles. So don't hold the bottle like underneath your nose to smell it. That's an overload of scent information.
Mhm.
What you do is like you pass it by your nose like 3 times. You just pass it by. And that's actually the correct way of smelling an essential oil from an oil bottle directly.
Oh, very, very.
So just as a little tip.
Yeah, no, and that's amazing because I think people don't realize some of these things, right? And I like to use them as well. Like I make a lot of my own
Blends.
like bath salts,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
sugar scrubs and things like that. So I like to
Nice.
use some of those in there. And
Mhm.
again, same thing, right? Like sparingly, but it's just I love how they just when you get into the shower, just how that smell takes over you and just
Yeah.
releases different things.
Exactly. And you're really creating an aromatherapy session for yourself, especially in the bathroom. I think that is such a cool way of using essential oils, especially in the mornings. Let's say like we're getting up and we're really dragging. We're like, oh, you know, this day, you know, I just don't feel ready. You know, if you use like a citrus like wild orange and you're adding like peppermint and you're just diffusing that in the bathroom, or you're having like a little concoction you're putting in the shower with you, it just changes your whole outlook on your day. You know, it energizes you and you feel uplifted and just more optimistic and positive, and it's just really amazing. So also, if you have teenagers, if teenagers are dragging in the morning, it's a really, really good thing to kind of like diffuse around them in the bathroom or in the kitchen, just to get them going.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, the energy's moving with them, yeah.
Yeah.
The oils, yeah, it really does. I know that when she had a problem, different problems here and there, and Kimmy made me up some creams to work with. And boy, they really help to, like one was for gout, and she put a cream together for me and I was using it for it. Well, it really did help to take that sting out of the toe or burning sensation and help me sleep better, you know. So I mean, it really does work. It's magical,
Yeah.
really. You know?
Yeah. No, sometimes it feels really magical, right?
It does.
Especially when you just, you know, when you feel how it's working and sometimes how fast it's working, it feels really magical.
Yeah, for sure. So can you talk a little bit then about like some of the different types of ones, like to deal with stress that might be like, can you go into them a little bit of different ones that we can use and different ways that we can use them to help us deal with the stresses?
So it depends on, with stress, I think it's really important to think about how is the stress affecting me. And let's say it's affecting us emotionally in different ways. Let's say I'm getting like very angry easily. So for that, for instance, using spruce and cypress and thyme essential oil. Thyme is really good for stress. It helps to release like those pent up emotions. And often with stress and with the emotions that come with it, it is important for us to be able to release, to not get stuck, you know, in those thoughts sometimes that keep spinning in our head, and we're just stuck in this stress moment. We have to be able to release that energy to be able to move on to the next thing and focus on something else. So with that release, again, spruce and cypress are two oils that I would put into any blend that is for like releasing emotions. If we're talking about fears and worries and anxiousness, so with fears and worries, juniper berry is a really, really good oil to help us with fears and worries. And if you combine that with like a grounding oil, like cedar wood or sandalwood, lang lang even, then you're creating something that is reducing the worries and the fear, and at the same time calming and grounding. If you feel irritable, again, oils like neroli, because neroli is very good for like our self-love and self-acceptance and creating a little bit of more inner strength. And so when we're very irritable easily, so that could be something, you know, that could help someone. Bergamot, the same way. Bergamot is very good for your self-love and self-acceptance and just having more inner strength and more an optimistic or positive outlook. So you always have to kind of like try and think about how's the stress affecting me? Like, what's my pattern? How am I reacting to this stress? And then find oils or a combination of oils that help address that and soothe those emotions or help you release those emotions so you can move forward.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and I would imagine so that as we're using these oils, we got to be careful too, especially if we're putting them on our bodies, that we don't have an allergic reaction or something. So is there a way to test for that?
Yes. So always when I send essential oils, I make a lot of custom blends for people. So that's actually one of my main business parts of my business, is that people come to me, say, hey, I'm dealing with this and this, you know, can you put together a blend or a lotion or whatever, you know, is appropriate for me. And with anything that is used topically, I always say you have to skin test. So how you skin test is you put a little dab of it on the inside of your forearm, just a small dab, and you wait 24 hours. Just see whether there's no reaction on that area where you applied that one essential oil or that blend of essential oils. Because we do not want somebody to apply oils more largely and then, you know, the person has a reaction to it.
Yeah.
So, but I've seen over all these years, very, very few that have reacted to anything. And especially if you're diluting it appropriately, I think that's also one of the big things with topical use, that people often use it at too high of a concentration. So when you're making like a roll-on, and let's say it's a 10 milliliter roll-on, which is equivalent to about 200 drops, a 5% dilution would be sufficient, and you fill the rest with fractionated coconut oil. You know what I mean? So you're using 10 drops of essential oils, whether it's one oil or you're blending different essential oils, and then you fill the rest with fractionated coconut oil. So that can already be sufficient because they are so potent. And as I said, little goes a long way, and it's safer to use it that way as well. And then I think because you said safety, you know, we really have to look too at what essential oils are you using, because there's so many essential oils out there. You can even buy essential oils at Walmart, but safety all comes down to the quality of essential oils, and quality has a lot to do with where do the plants even come from that these essential oils are distilled from, how were they cultivated, you know, were they grown without the use of pesticides and herbicides? Were they harvested properly and at the right time? Were they steam distilled and compression extracted instead of solvent extracted, which is a chemical extraction process? And are they handled properly and stored properly? And are they tested in many different ways to make sure there's no microbes and mold spores and fungus and viruses and bacteria and contamination or adulterations in the oils? And unfortunately, a lot of companies out there take shortcuts for profit, you know, to make more profit. And so there are a lot of oils out there, unfortunately, that are not safe to use and that are not very beneficial because what's in them is just not really working.
Exactly.
So the quality really matters when it comes to safety and also to the benefits.
Yeah, and that is a good point, and I like that. So I guess as people are going, I know that like with some of them you have to be careful too. Like I know like the citrus ones are great to use, but if you're using topically, and then you're going out in the sun, you may want to be a little bit careful with that. So I think as you're using these to help you, I guess, you know, alleviate stress and alleviate some different emotions in your life, you need to be cognizant of some of these things and do some studying on them. So do you have on your site different things about that?
Yes, yeah, I have a lot of information on my website on, especially for beginners, you know, like what you have to look out for. Photosensitivity, which you just mentioned, is a big one, because going out in the sun and having a citrus oil on it is not so good because your skin's going to turn red. The same for tanning bed. You know, people sometimes don't think about that, but it's the same as going into the sun. You know, you can't put essential oils on citrus oils and go into a tanning bed. So people, it's a learning curve, you know, and I think when we are invested in our health and well-being, and we also have to invest a little bit of time to learn about it and use it properly, and, you know, and read or listen to podcasts like your podcast, you know what I mean? And just get more educated around the topic, and then the use of them becomes safer. One thing about citrus oils that I also wanted to mention, because we were talking about diffusing them to reduce the stress naturally. If you have a cat in your house, please do not diffuse citrus oils. Cats lack an enzyme in their liver, and they cannot effectively metabolize citrus oils. Also, oils high in phenols and ketones. I have a long article on that subject on my website. I have a cat myself. So we have to be very cognizant about what we do with essential oils around our pets. Dogs are different. Dogs have that enzyme in their liver, but cats do not. So you can still benefit from citrus oils, though, even if you have a cat like I do, by diffusing in the car. My cat's never in the car. My cat's never in my bathroom when I get ready in the mornings.
Right.
You know, so those are places where I can use my citrus oils. When she's sleeping on my bed, I can sit here in the living room and inhale from my palms and then go and wash my hands with soap, and I'm not affecting her. I can use an essential oils inhaler, which is not going to affect her. So you just have to learn about what is safe to do and how to do it best to keep yourself, your family members, and your four-legged family members all safe.
Yeah, perfect. So with the oils, I know for myself, I know I've done some of the aroma touch and things like that.
Mhm.
I know which really helps with like stress and
Yeah.
release
Yeah.
emotions and things like that. So do you think combining the essential oils with different modalities, Reiki, meditation, mindful meditations, things like that, do you feel like that just helps enhance those types of healings?
Absolutely. It enhances the type of healings, and like I explained before, but what happens in the limbic system, like with recalling, creating memory and recalling memory. So if you're meditating, you're going into a more relaxed state. But if you're combining a scent with that, then you can recall even that relaxed state through the scent. So combining calming and grounding essential oils with calming and grounding exercises is really a wonderful, wonderful tool for all of us to use to reduce stress levels and also to raise our capacity to manage stress better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know when I do Reiki, I often use the oils to calm a person. If they seem very stressed out or if they have a headache or something like that, I also try to use the oils to help them to relax a bit more during the session as well. So that they get the full use of, or they get the full treatment plan
Benefit.
thing that they get to make them feel the best they can be while they're on your table. So, you know, oils are wonderful for that kind of thing, to calming.
Yeah, and I was thinking too when we were talking, because I know like my boss in particular, she doesn't like oranges or the smell of oranges or anything else. So I think that's something else to be cognizant about people when we're talking about this and we're, you know, you're giving these ideas of things to use. If those, like you said, if that creates a not good memory in your head, use that one.
Oh,
Like
no way.
just leave that out and put the rest in, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, it's like one of my questions on my questionnaire when I'm talking to new clients is, are there any scents that trigger negative memory for you?
Yeah,
Just to be aware of that, because that is very, very important.
that is so much.
absolutely. And I know we were talking a little bit beforehand when we got on. My family always, now that I'm into the essential oils, it's like my little witch cabinet. And everybody always comes to me and they're like, I have X cold sore, I have this. What can you make for me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. And I have a little Bible that I actually not Bible, but
Yeah, book. Yeah.
essential oil Bible. And I use it to help me with them. Sometimes I do it intuitively, but
Yeah,
just because you get to know what does what, right?
exactly.
And so you were telling your story. So do you want to share that with our followers?
Oh, yeah. So my little grandson was driving over my daughter in the car, had him in the car, and he had like a little scrape on his leg. And he was mentioning it to my daughter, and she was like, you know, we're going to ask Oma, and they call me Oma because I'm German. We're going to ask Oma whether she has an oil for that. And he was just like really in his voice, you know, Oma's got an oil for that.
He's only 3.
So he's 3 years old and he knows Oma's got all these oils. So no matter what happens or comes, you know, we always have something that can maybe help us get through it easier, recover faster. And he understands that already, and he's 3 years old. So
Yeah, that's beautiful.
or he was 3 at the time. He's 6 now.
I think that's so great because we teach the kids that, right? And
Yeah.
like I'm always famous, right? Somebody be telling me something, and I'm like, oh, I have an oil for that. Just a minute, I can help you out with that. You know,
Yeah.
I tend to myself just because I try to get away from some of this processed stuff and like
Yeah.
even Advil and things like that. Like, I'm not saying there's not a place for some of those things, but I try to do the right. So yeah, I get a headache. I carry around my little peppermint roll and
Yeah.
right. I mean, they do smell, but they work.
It
Yeah.
smells
No,
nice too.
they really do work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, especially when you have tension, in your back of your neck and your traps here. Essential oils can be just wonderful to just help relax and release all the tissues there. There's a blend called Aroma Touch. I don't know whether you use Aroma Touch. So that's like a really nice blend, just soothe and relax. And yeah, as you said, if you feel tension in your head, putting peppermint on it just
Yeah.
is a great tool.
Oh, great.
Yeah. There's just so many good ones that, it's, and I love that you're into this too. And I love that mom is into it because I just find there's so much benefit from the oils and it's so simple to use.
Yeah.
And there's so many health benefits from it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I use them in my cleaners, all kinds of things, because
Exactly. Yeah, cleaning with them around the house is wonderful. Really. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Because my big thing is, especially the floors, it's like you're walking on those floors in your bare feet and, you're taking in all those chemicals up into
Yeah.
your feet. And
Exactly.
I just feel like if we can do some things to kind of help that, our endocrine system, that's even better, right?
Yeah. 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 I have one of my clients, she cleans houses and she made the window cleaner from a recipe that was in one of my classes that she came to. And it's just water, white vinegar, and peppermint essential oil. She
Yeah.
says it's the best window cleaner she's ever used. The windows are so sparkling clean, and you don't have the chemicals, and you don't, with like the white vinegar, sometimes people don't like the scent of that. So the peppermint is kind of like overpowering that a little bit. And so it's beautiful. So we can make a lot of beautiful things that are much less toxic, reducing our toxic load. And that can keep us healthier.
Absolutely. Can you tell us some of the services that you have on your website or that you offer for people?
Yeah, so like when you come to my website, I write a lot of articles. So people can find articles on all kinds of topics. And then I always, let's say it's a lifestyle, let's say how to feel more positive or how to be more grateful. But I always combine it with which oils would you use to support that. So every topic that I'm talking about in terms of lifestyle and living a healthier life always comes down to, and which oils could you use now to support that? I explain a lot about essential oils, what they are, safety issues, the quality issue we were talking about before. I have a lot of courses on my website, so little classes, video classes that people can just watch. I have something for nurses and caregivers. I have a course for yoga. I have a course for stress that we're just talking about today, for stress reduction. I have a class called A Day in a Life with Essential Oils, and that's for people that are completely new to oils. So just walking you through how could a day in your life look like if you used essential oils? What would you use them for throughout the day, from when you're getting up in the mornings until you go to bed at night? So just give people an idea of what could that be. And so people can find so many different resources on my website just to get started, to start learning. And if they want to purchase essential oils, they can do that through me as well. And I'm always here for personal support, creating custom blends, custom products for people for very specific issues. So it's become a huge resource, and I love it because people really benefit from all the information that's there.
Yeah,
True.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think people are just gonna be like bombarded with all the information that they got today because, and there is so much, and there's just like every time I go onto the site to order a new one, I'm like, oh, I've never seen that one before. That's new. What's that about, right? And
Yeah.
but I love it because I think there's just so many benefits, and I think like we were talking about where we started from with the emotions and stress, it's so important to our lives to bring down that, elevated stress, like you said. to regulate our lives to not be in this constant state of craziness.
Yeah, because it
So-
creates disease and everything else in our bodies if we don't do it. You know, we need to be kind to ourselves and use the oils, you know, because like you talked about the lymphatic system, it does so much in our body. So if we're using them right, that can help us like so much, even with cancers and things like that. So, you know, it's a good thing. So I'm glad that we're talking about it and letting people know that that is another place that they can reach out to heal themselves. And
Yeah, and I think that's really what it's all about, creating an environment for our body that allows our body to heal itself, because our bodies are amazing machines that are made to recover. You know, if you think about cell regeneration, like if we have a cut, how a cut heals, if we break a bone, how the bone heals, you know, our bodies are made to heal itself. But with everything often that we bombard our bodies with all kinds of toxins that are around us, and our personal care products and medication and over-the-counter products that we might be taking, it makes it harder for our body to heal itself, to repair itself, because it's dealing with all these things that are coming at it, you know. So I think if we can change that environment a little bit and create more of an environment for the body that allows the body to heal itself, I think that's what it's really all about.
okay, people that have a lot of allergies, let's say, you know, like peanut allergies and all the rest of it. There's oils that they can use too to help them get past that and live a nice lifestyle without having to take antihistamines and all the rest of it. You want to talk about that a little bit? How that
So I think for what you're talking about is it really all starts in the gut with helping to create better gut health.
right?
And that starts with like digestive enzymes. So for instance, we have a digestive enzyme supplement that's called Terrazyme that also has 3 essential oils in it, which help support the digestive system. So we can absorb nutrients better that we are putting into our body. So that is very important. And then fortifying the gut with probiome, with probiotics, because that is really a fundamental for our overall health, for all our body systems. Our gut really has to be healthy. And I think we often don't think about that. And a lot of allergies or even skin issues, you know, getting sick a lot, the immune system, a lot of it comes back down to how healthy or unhealthy is your gut. And so if we can do a lot of things to support and start with like a fundamental like gut health and just try and fortify the gut with good products that also can include essential oils, then we are building up a good system. You know what I mean? I think we always have to kind of like start at the bottom. And I think for me, the bottom are digestive health and stress. So for me, those two are always like, that's where you got to start make changes. And then other things often fall in line, go away on their own, because you're addressing it from the fundamentals up.
Yeah, and they do say that the gut is like our second brain. So
Yeah.
there,
It is.
yeah, like there's just so much correlation between the gut and the brain and our health. And I know for myself, like I know when my gut is not well, because yes, all of a sudden, you know, my eczema pops up and my allergies, my sinuses are more full. And I know that's my body's way of saying, hey, hello, smarten up, right?
Yeah.
And so I agree with you, because I think, you know, essential oils are a wonderful tool, but we really do have to get to the root cause of what it is as we're using these different tools to help us get better in life.
Exactly.
So if there was one piece of advice or something that you'd like to leave with our followers, a point of inspiration, what would that be?
Especially if you're new to essential oils, start small steps, one oil, you know, just whatever it is that maybe at this point is the biggest hurdle that you have, you know, something that's keeping you from functioning well. try and address that, you know, and just do it one step at a time and just be consistent, because it's really all about consistent use of the essential oils.
Yeah.
Essential oils are metabolized in the body, and we shed everything that we're inhaling or putting onto our skin or, you know, taking internally. It's all being shed out again through our skin, through sweating, through our urine, through breathing. We're not storing essential oils in our body. It's not like medication. So if we want to have a consistent and long-lasting effect of essential oils, we need some consistency in our use of oils. And as I said, start small steps, and then, you know, one thing after another. Don't try to address too many things at once, because then you get like overwhelmed and lost, and then nothing's going to happen in the end, you know. So
Yeah.
one thing at a time.
Perfect. That's a wonderful message to leave everybody with.
It is.
So can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Okay, yeah, so it's Scarlet Strapko. At the website is My Oil Guide. So it's the word my oil and then guide.com. And please check it out. There's really so much information there. And if you do have questions, you can always go to my contact form, reach out to me. I text with people every day, or you can specify whether you like text, phone call, or email, and I'll respond the way that's best for you. And I'd love to help you get started on this journey of just living a healthier lifestyle supported by essential oils.
Wonderful. And we will put those in our show notes for everybody so they can find you as well. And we
Awesome.
appreciate you being here with us and giving so much information, because I think it's, you know, one of our greatest missions with this podcast is to get out this information, to give people more tools to put in their toolbox to live their best authentic life. And so
be healthy, you know,
yeah,
as healthy as possible, mind, body, soul. You know, it's our health is our wealth. And when we have that, we have everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
My
appreciate you.
mom's 88 and she takes no medications at all.
Wow.
And every time she goes to the doctor or goes for a checkup or is somewhere, and they always like, list your medications. She's like, I don't take anything. And they always look at her like, is this even possible? You know? So yes, it is possible.
That's nice to hear too.
That is amazing. And
good luck to your mom.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
we appreciate you sharing all this knowledge with everybody and sharing space with us. So it's been amazing.
Thank you.
I've even learned some more things, so that's great.
Me too. She's more
I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much, Kim and Barb, that you were having me on today. And maybe we can do it another time again on a different topic besides stress or emotions, you know, and
beautiful.
Yeah,
tackle something different.
Let's do that.
Yes, we would love that.
Reach out to us.
So thank you again, and
all right,
everybody else, tune in next week.